Hey everyone, welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife. I'm so glad you're here. My name's Leslie and I am thrilled to have you in my kitchen because we're going to do some baking. But first, before we get into this, if you're here just for the recipe, look down in the description and I'll put the timestamp where it starts. But before I go any further, I can't let today go by without telling my sweet, dear, precious husband, happy anniversary. 27 years ago today was one of the best days of my life, and they have just gotten better ever since. I'm telling you, I have the best husband. He has been absolutely an amazing father, an amazing husband, an amazing pastor, and he gives his 110% to everything, especially being my husband. So I want to say, honey, I love you with all of my heart, and you are so very precious to me. And so therefore, since you are so precious to me, Brian, I'm making us some cookies today. We're going to celebrate with cookies. So let me grab everything I need. I'll meet you back right here. So I have some leftover chocolate chip cookies, partial bags, and I hope I can find some more. But I wanted to use those up. And then I thought, well, I might as well make two different kinds of cookies. So I asked Caroline, I said, honey, she was going to the store or going to town. I said, will you pick me up some chocolate chip, white chocolate chips? And she did. So we have some. But while I was in my pantry, I have a bunch of white chocolate chips. I have no clue what we're going to do with them all, but we're going to figure out something. Maybe not all today, but I hope I have enough semi-sweet for my chocolate chip cookies. So, all right, I'll meet you back kind of over here in the center. We're going to get the butter and the sugar and everything in the stand bowls or the mixing bowls, and then I'll stop on one recipe and finish up the other one before we move to the second. So I'll be right back. All right, so first, I don't have enough semi-sweet chocolate chips, so we're going to mix in some white chocolate chips. Do you think that'll be okay? I've never done that before, so we're going to try it. But both cookie recipes, one is a chocolate chip recipe, chocolate chip cookie. The other one is a white chocolate macadamia nut cookie recipe, which probably is one of my favorites. So they both call for 2 sticks of butter or 1 cup of butter. I'm going to just go ahead and get the butter in both bowls. And then when we get to a certain point, I'll slide one recipe over and then we'll solely work on the other. And I think I'm going to start on the white chocolate. Nope, I think I'm going to start on the chocolate chip because it preheats to 375. And it's easier for me to preheat it and then turn it down than it is to get it to going higher. Just easier for me. Probably don't make any sense at all, but that's okay. All right. So we're just getting the butter in both, and then we're going to do the sugar in both. And like I said, then I'll slide my white chocolate chip cookie recipe out of the way, and we'll work solely on the chocolate chip one. All right, so there's our butter. Now let's move to our sugar. All right, brown sugar is in both of them. So in the chocolate chip recipe, it calls for 1 cup of brown sugar. And when I always pack it unless the recipe says unpacked. So go ahead in with a half. And then in with a cup. And over here, this recipe calls for 1 cup of brown sugar as well. And this recipe actually says lightly packed. So we'll lightly pack it. And by packing it, I just press it up against the side of the container. All right, so we are done with our brown sugar. So now let's see how much granulated it calls for. All right, the chocolate chip recipe calls for a cup of granulated sugar. And the macadamia nut calls for a half a cup. All right. Now our sugar is done. I can kind of clean this up, put my sugars up, get them out of the way, and then we will slide this recipe out. I'll set it back here, and we'll just work on the chocolate chip recipe. We're moving right along to the dry ingredients of the just chocolate chip recipe. Now, I have got several chocolate chip recipes, and I keep looking for one that's going to be the end-all be-all. So this is a new recipe. It's fairly basic. It's a very basic chocolate chip recipe. So, but I will leave where I found it linked down in the description, so you can go to their website and find the recipe. All right, so we're going to need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. All right, 3 cups of all-purpose flour. We now need a teaspoon of baking. Let's do it in order. A teaspoon of baking soda. Double checking to be sure I'm right. So a teaspoon of baking soda and a half a teaspoon of baking powder. All right. Well, friends, as life would have it, right here I was filming, but my microphone was not on. So we're just going to do this part with a voiceover. Now, those of you who have followed me know that when a recipe calls for butter, I always use salted butter. And therefore, I don't add the salt in that the recipe calls for. However, this recipe called for salted butter and a teaspoon of sea salt. So since it called for both, I chose to go ahead and put in the sea salt. So that's what I'm doing here. We're getting that sea salt in with the other dry ingredients, and we're just giving it a quick whisk to get it stirred together and mixed up well. And then we are going to fix to get our stand mixer going and cream up the butter and the sugar. And I did not have enough semi-sweet chocolate chips. So I'm using 1 cup of white chocolate and 1 cup of semi-sweet. I think that'll be okay, don't y'all? We're going to find out anyway. So we're just creaming the butter and sugar. And now we're going to add in 2 eggs. You always like to crack them in a bowl separately and then add them into your dough in case you get a shell in there, which I did right here. You can't see it, but I'm scooping it out with the shell, and now it's going in, and we're going to mix that together. All right, so here I'm going to add in my flour mixture a little at a time. I do not have my oven preheating as of yet because we are going to chill this dough. We're just going to keep adding in the flour and letting it, you can see the motor slowing down a little bit, so I'm going to turn it up here. All right. So I'm going to set that aside. There's no need to wash that because we're going to put the same kind of stuff in it for the next cookie recipe. Now we're going to add in our chocolate chips. I'm also going to maybe only bake up half of these, not all of them. But if that's what I choose to do, I will actually scoop out the rest of them into the scoops and flash freeze them and then put them in a bag. So I'm just going to scrape off my paddle attachment here. And I'm not even going to wash it because we're going to use it again in another cookie dough. I'm just getting all the excess cookie dough off of it. And probably I'm contemplating here, am I going to cook it all up or bake it all up, or am I going to freeze some? I think I'm giving myself this talk at this point. What am I going to do? So I'm just taking this, I'm going to take this paddle attachment off and just stick it right in the other mixing bowl with the other ingredients for the other recipe. So I'm not sure where I was because my mic not working has gotten me addled. So let me tell you why I may freeze some in the freezer to use at a later date. First of all, we don't need many today. It's just me and Bryant. We're going to have, you know, it's our anniversary. So we only need a few today. And we are in the middle of a polar vortex. Actually, we're not right now. We're not in the middle of it. It's actually eased up right now. We've got some warm weather. We're pretty much normal today. But in a couple of days, that polar vortex is hitting us again. And we are going to have some of the coldest temperatures we have had here in North Carolina in a very long time. And it's going to last several days. And what's better on a cold day than a warm cookie? So I'm going to try to freeze some of this and save this for the cold days coming up, because Bryant will keep me a fire in the wood insert. And yeah, so let's go with cookies for that. All right, so here we're going to start with 3 cups of all-purpose flour again. Oh my goodness, I got flour all over me. How did that happen? Anyway, okay, so here are 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and we're going to put in, where's my teaspoons? We're going to put in 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. 1, 2. 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of baking powder. Now, this one did call for unsalted butter, and it calls for salt too. And since I use salted butter, I'm just going to add just a tiny bit of salt. It calls for a teaspoon, but I am definitely not adding a teaspoon. Probably 1/4 of a teaspoon. And so we're going to take that right there and mix that up. And I'm going to get the other cake batter right here. Not cake batter. A batter bowl. And we're just going to use that same paddle because it's pretty much the same dough. You know, it's pretty close. So we're going to cream our butter and sugar together and get that going. And to this one, we're going to add 2 full eggs. So we're going on in with those 2. And then we have this one that we want to just put in the yolk. Okay, just the yolk. All right. So we're going to turn this on and let it go some more. And guys, off camera to both doughs, we've added some vanilla, about 2 teaspoons each of vanilla. So before I add the flour in there, because I don't want to start mixing it and getting it going, I want to go ahead and have my macadamia nuts. Now, it calls for unsalted, but it says lightly salted is fine. So These are lightly salted, and I'm just going to go through and give them a rough chop. And you could use a food processor or a hand chopper for this. I'm just going to do this just to make it quicker and easier and not have to get out and wash anything else. And I'm not going to go much finer than that. There's a big one right there I'm trying to get. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. All right, so now this is a wetter batter. You can probably tell because of that extra egg yolk. Turn it on slow. I forgot the vanilla in the first batter, and then realized it when I put this vanilla in. And then I was so addled, I put this one in off camera. All right, we're going to slowly turn it up. Very good. All right, let's go in with our chocolate chips. And our 1.5 cups of macadamia nuts. All right, and just like that, our doughs are ready. I'm going to take this batter, the paddle off, and chill this dough as well, and then we'll come back and bake them up in just a little bit. All right, I am cleaning up a little bit, and I've got the chocolate chip dough out, and we're getting ready to scoop it up and go ahead and bake some of the chocolate chip ones. I can't call it chocolate. I mean, it is chocolate chips. It's white chocolate and semi-sweet chocolate chips, but I don't know what to call it. So we're going to try it and see if it's good to mix the chocolate chips. But anyway, all right. So let me get this cleaned up, and then I'll get a tray over here and we'll get to scooping. All right. So I think we're going to just use the biggest cookie scoop I have. I'm not exactly sure what the size of it is, but there it is in the palm of my hand if you can see that, but I don't know. We're just going to go for it. Whoops. And I'm going to try to get 3 across here. My refrigerator must be really cold, because this dough is really cold. Good gracious, I may have to let this sit out a minute. It hasn't been in the refrigerator all that long. Good gracious. I had to go over to Caroline's a while ago. If you heard while I was doing the voiceover, my phone rang twice. That was Caroline. And Benji has been up all night crying. And she was kind of at her wit's end, like, Mama, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help him. I don't know what to fix him. And so I went in, and she had to also have a Zoom call with one of her professors. My daughter is so smart. She is working full-time, a mom of 2 rambunctious little boys and a sweet, precious little infant. They're all of them are precious. You know, they have Bubbles' heart. But anyway, she had a Zoom, and she's also going to school. So she had a Zoom meeting with her professor, and she was like, I don't know what to do. And so I went over there, and took care of him so she could do her Zoom call. And so I don't know how long these cookies were actually in the refrigerator, but it says you could leave them. I think my refrigerator temperature is turned really low. I don't know if I should do, I don't know how much they're going to expand. So I'm going to do 3 more, but I may regret that. But we shall see. And then the rest of this cookie dough, I'm going to let it sit out for a little bit because it is really firm. But then the rest of it, I will scoop out onto a cookie sheet, and we will freeze them for the polar vortex. All right, so these are going in a 375-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. So I'll probably check them at the 8-minute mark, leave them another 2 if need be. So they're going in. Cookies are ready to come out. Well, they look really good, and they didn't spread that much. So these may be a soft, chewy cookie. I'm not sure how. That's the thing I don't know about cookies. You never know if they're going to turn out to be crunchy, flat cookies or puffy cookies. So we're going to let those cool, and I'm going to turn the oven down just a little bit. And when Bryant gets out of the shower, I'm going to have him help me scoop the rest of the cookies out to put in the freezer. And in the meantime, I'm going to get the macadamia nut dough out, and we're going to put that on this cookie sheet. Aren't these cookie sheets beautiful? Sweet friend of mine in Pennsylvania sent them to me, and I love them. So, all right, I'm going to do the macadamia nut. I'll see you in just a second. All right, so this dough is much easier to work with because it was in the refrigerator much less time. And may not have been in there quite long enough, but I think my refrigerator temperature must be off. I'm going to have to get Bryant to check that. But I'm so anxious for these. This is one of my favorite. When I go to Subway, and we get like a sub or whatever, I don't go to Subway often. That's not a restaurant I go to often, but when I do, I always get a cookie, and I always get a white chocolate macadamia nut cookie. Probably should spread that second row out just a little bit further. Oh goodness, I cannot wait for these. How many did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4. Okay, I'll spread that row out a little bit. If I'd have known those weren't going to rise that much, spread that much, I probably could have gotten, I might can get another row of this one in here. We're going to try one more. If I have to pull them apart, that won't hurt anything. All right. So Bryant's job is going to be scooping them out and putting them on the tray to be frozen. So, all right. And I don't know how these will work as far as frozen. I know the chocolate chips will be fine. I don't know how these will work, but we won't know till we try it. And I don't need to cook up any more than this because it's just me and Bryant. I'm sure Caroline will come over in a little bit maybe and get one. So, but these are going in. Let's see how long do these cook. These go into a 350-degree oven, which I turned it down when I got the other ones out. And And they all say to use a large cookie scoop, like a 3 tablespoon cookie scoop, 2 to 3 tablespoons. So both of them say to use a large one. Bake for 11 to 12 minutes. So I'll probably check it at the 11-minute mark, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right, they're going in. Okay, everybody, here are our platters of cookies.
They look delicious.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Which one are we going to try first?
27 years.
27 wonderful
years. All right, which one you want to try first?
Let's do the chocolate chip,
right.
White chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip with white chocolate chip. Are there any nuts in here?
No nuts or anything.
Nuts, okay.
That texture is amazing.
Oh, man. It's really soft in the center of the cookie.
Okay. I think I found my perfect cookie.
That is amazing.
It's really good. It's like a soft crunch on the outside and chewy and soft on the inside. Perfection.
That is gourmet.
Yeah, that's like cookie shop.
Cookie shop cookie right there.
That is delicious.
I would pay for that cookie, and I'm cheap. All right, here we go.
White chocolate macadamia nut.
These are my favorite.
Oh, I thought they were my favorite.
Yeah, these are my favorite. Like if I go to a luncheon or I go to a pastor's conference.
That's what we always get.
And they have these for dessert. This is what I'm on right here.
And I did extra of those, so that's a good thing.
Home run.
Instead of drop the mic, it's drop the cookie, but I don't want to drop it. I want to eat it.
If I did anything different, what will I do? Maybe a few more nuts. I like a lot of nuts. But they're good. You get more nuts in this than you do a Hershey's with almonds.
That's true. That's true. Okay, guys. Both of these. I gotta go get my Pepsi. Both of these are absolutely delicious. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, guys, thank you so much.
Y'all want a joke?
Not on our anniversary. Give me that great anniversary gift with no joke. I'm just kidding. You can give them your joke.
I don't have one.
Oh, good.
There you go.
All right, guys.
Hey, the yoke's on you.
The yoke's on me. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I enjoyed today's video. It's good to be back in the kitchen with you guys. And I will see you probably tomorrow for a bonus video. It might be a little chatty, but that's okay. And I will see you when I see you. Thank you for joining us. Remember, the grease is hot enough. You can fry anything. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Bye, guys. Another bite.